Toyota Tacoma, the best-selling midsize pickup on the market, with an impeccable reputation for reliability and durability. But is it really the best option on the market? And how about things that are not so great about this pickup? We present you 8 reasons why you should not buy a Toyota Tacoma, but rather consider some of the alternatives. Number 8. Interior design. Probably one of the most common complaints about the third-generation Tacoma are those regarding interior design. Quality and aesthetic standards aren't particularly high in this class, but the Tacoma is still less impressive than key competitors, with its outdated design and not particularly impressive selection of materials. Moreover, the cabin is tight. Even if you pick a double cab version, you won't get much of the rear passenger space. But the bigger problem is at the front, where you don't expect issues like these in a midsize pickup. Apparently, the third-generation Tacoma lacks headroom, while the awkward seating position is another thing to talk about. Thankfully, Toyota solved these issues with the new generation, so if you're looking for a brand new Tacoma, these interior issues won't bother you. The new generation left an amazing impression when it came to build quality and materials, not to mention that the 14-inch infotainment screen is the same one found in the full-size Tundra. Also, the seating position is much better, while there's also a decent improvement regarding headroom and passenger room in general. If this has been your main concern so far, worry no more because Toyota addressed these issues in such a nice way. Number 7. Limited towing capacity. The Tacoma is a rewarding pickup in many ways, but if you're looking for ultimate towing capacity in the segment, you should probably look in other places. It's not that the Tacoma is disappointing in this aspect, but it definitely lags behind the competition when it comes to max ratings. The third-generation Tacoma can tow up to 6,800 pounds. In comparison, rivals like the Chevy Colorado and Jeep Gladiator can tow up to 7,700 pounds. Also, don't forget the 4-cylinder Tacoma that, although equipped with one of the most reliable engines ever made, lacks power and therefore towing capacity, which is rated at just 3,500 pounds. If you're looking for a new one, keep in mind that things haven't changed much. The new Turbo 4 engine did bring extra torque, but the max towing capacity is actually lower and only goes up to 6,500 pounds. Things are even worse with the hybrid, which may feature impressive power and torque figures, but is no more than decent in this aspect with a max towing capacity of 6,000 pounds. Number 6. Transmission issues. Although the third-generation Tacoma is generally considered super reliable, even bulletproof, it did have a couple of issues in the first few years of its production cycle. So if you're looking for a used 2016 or 2017 model, you may want to check its 6-speed automatic transmission because those early variants of this automatic transmission were occasionally characterized by delayed engagement in the drive mode when cold, as well as with hard shift. Furthermore, the company never solved the so-called gear hunting issues, so no matter what the model you buy, that's something you may expect from the third-generation Tacoma. It's not an issue by itself, it's actually the way Toyota programmed this gearbox. In order to optimize fuel economy, the transmission seems to always be in a hunt for the right gear, which creates a bit of an awkward feel during the ride. Therefore, you might want to consider a 6-speed manual transmission, which requires a bit more work and gives much more in return in our humble opinion. Not to mention that along with the Jeep Gladiator, the Tacoma remains the only pickup on the market available with 3 pedals. Number 5. Uninspiring Powertrain. Once again, we are assuming that you're looking for a used third-generation Tacoma. If that's the case, then one of the things to think about is the powertrain. The Tacoma comes in 2 variants, base inline 4 and optional V6. While the V6 is significantly more powerful, it still lags behind the competition performance-wise. It looks like Toyota wanted to optimize this Atkinson cycle V6 for fuel economy, but it turned out it failed. Not only that this engine lacks torque and throttle response, as well as competitive driving dynamics, but it's also not a particularly efficient option either. The best you can get is 19 mpg city and 24 mpg highway, and most rivals can do better than that. Of course, you could always go for the base inline 4 and get better fuel economy, but in that case, be ready to make a significant compromise performance-wise. With just 159 horsepower, this naturally aspirated 4-cylinder definitely doesn't deliver what you would expect from a modern pickup, but on the other hand, if ultimate reliability is your key requirement, then there is no better option on the market. Number 4. New powertrain still has to prove itself. On paper, Toyota has solved its issues with the underpowered engine lineup that characterized the previous generation. The offer now starts with a pretty decent variant of the 2.4-liter Turbo 4 engine with 228 horsepower, offered in most basic variants only. Most of the offer is about a much more powerful 278 horsepower version of the same engine, which matches the previous V6's max output but offers substantially more torque, 317 pound-feet. Finally, there's a hybrid version, once again with its Turbo 4 engine, but in a combination with a battery and electric motor, which altogether provide 326 horsepower and an impressive 465 pound-feet of torque. In other words, the new Tacoma offers substantially better performance, but on the other hand, all these are new powertrains, which still have to prove themselves if they're worthy of Toyota's reputation or not. It's not just about the max power and torque. These powertrains need to withstand the challenging exploitation that usually comes with pickup trucks, so it may be smart to be patient and wait for a year or two to see which option will turn out to be the best of the three. On the other hand, we're happy that the 4th generation Tacoma comes with a new 8-speed automatic gearbox, which performs significantly better than the previous 6-speed unit. Number 3. Ride quality. Of course, no one expects a pickup truck to ride like a modern crossover, but models like the Honda Ridgeline set some pretty high standards. On the other hand, the Tacoma is a pickup with an old-school design approach. Body-on-frame construction, leaf springs, it's pretty obvious that the ride can't be smooth, while the rear end can easily bounce around when off the tarmac. Add to this things we talked about, such as the tight cabin and awkward driving position, as well as sound insulation that allows a lot of noise and vibration to enter the cabin, and it becomes pretty obvious why the 3rd generation Tacoma may not be the most perfect option if you prioritize comfort over utility. Still, what we've just said refers only to the 3rd generation. The new 4th generation Tacoma is a completely different story because Toyota changed a lot of things by adding independent rear suspension to crew cab models, along with disc brakes, which made the ride smoother, more responsive, and more engaging. If we exclude the aforementioned unibody Ridgeline, the Tacoma is now by far the smoothest and most drivable midsize pickup on the market. So all in all, if you expect a high level of comfort, the new Tacoma is the one to go, while its predecessor should be avoided. Number 2. First production year. Okay, this section is all about the new 4th generation Tacoma. One of the key reasons not to buy it is it's because it's in the first production year. You know how experts say that you should never buy a model in its first production year? We never thought we would say that for a Tacoma, but the recent experience with the Tundra and its issues with the new turbo V6 engine speaks for itself. After all, even the previous Tacoma had a couple of issues in the first production year, particularly in terms of transmission. Simply said, we live in the area of complex, super advanced design solutions, so even companies like Toyota with their impeccable quality control can't prevent all of the issues. With so many new technologies added to the new generation, it may be best to stay put for a while and wait to see if certain issues appear, and then eventually be solved. Reliability-wise, the previous generation Tacoma is currently a safer pick. Number 1. High prices. Despite the straightforward design, the Tacoma has never been a cheap truck. Buyers were happy to pay extra just to get the most reliable pickup in the class. But it seems like things went a little bit out of control, because if you look at the new 2024 Tacoma, it starts at $33,000, and for that money, you get an extended pickup with a tiny cabin and the least powerful engine in the class. Meanwhile, rivals like the Ranger and Colorado are either similarly priced or cheaper in their base variants and still offer a bit more for the money. More powerful engines and crew cab layouts come to mind first, so we wonder if the Tacoma is still a better value, with all due respect to the fact that the Tacoma is probably still the most reliable in the class. Higher spec versions quickly become expensive, with range-topping models going way too deep into the full-size pickup and even luxury SUV category. Things aren't much better with the used Tacomas either, as this is one of the lowest depreciating vehicles on the market, so you probably won't save too much money if you choose a used one. Thanks for watching and see you next time.